A magnitude 8.8 earthquake has triggered evacuations and tsunami warnings in both Russia and Japan.
An 8.8 magnitude earthquake, one of the strongest ever recorded, struck Russia's Far East early Wednesday.
The tremor struck Russia's Kamchatka peninsula, which is 250 kilometers away from Japan's Pacific coast.
And right on the cusp of colliding tectonic plates along the Pacific's notorious seismic ring of fire,
triggering tsunami waves in Japan and Alaska and prompting Pacific-wide warnings.
It's hard to believe, but nearly half the planet's population lives in the shadow of the Red Ring of Fire, a geological monster now stirring in terrifying new ways. Could this be the chain reaction that sets off the deadliest earthquake cycle in modern history? It curls unseen, circling 40,000 kilometers of ocean, a colossal scar stitched into Earth's crust. The red Pacific Ring of Fire, stretching from South America's southern tip, racing past red California's San Andreas Fault, sweeping across Alaska, Japan, and Indonesia down to New Zealand, is the planet's most violent stage. Here lie 3/4 of the world's volcanoes and 90% of all earthquakes, including every red megaquake magnitude 9.0 plus ever recorded. But in 2025, the silence broke. 47 volcanoes are erupting at once, an historic high. A red Kamchatka megaquake 8.8 ripped open the Earth in July, shaking satellites, shortening days by microseconds, and sending tremors racing around the rim. Scientists call it a cycle, locals call it an omen, and the world asks, is the Ring of Fire reactivating? The fear is not just one quake or eruption, it's the domino effect. A rupture in Russia jolting Alaska, a quake in Chile stirring Japan, ash clouds from Indonesia grounding planes from Australia to California. So the question becomes chilling. Are we witnessing the awakening of Earth's deadliest fault line system? And if so, how much longer until the next rupture rewrites global history? If you're watching this, hit subscribe and stay with us, because what you're about to learn could change how you see every calm ocean, every quiet volcano, and every silent fault line. Chapter 1. Chain of Fire, Anatomy of Earth's Deadliest Zone. What if one scar on Earth's crust holds the power to topple cities, erase coastlines, and darken skies for years? The red Pacific Ring of Fire is not just a fault line, it's a noose of destruction around the world's largest ocean. It harbors 452 volcanoes, nearly 3/4 of all active volcanoes on Earth. It spawns 9 out of 10 global earthquakes. From red Chile megaquakes to red Japanese tsunamis, every continent it touches has scars from its fury. Why here? The answer is tectonic war. The red Pacific Plate collides, grinds, and subducts beneath the North American, Nazca, Cocos, Eurasian, and Philippine plates. These collisions don't just move continents, they store energy equivalent to hundreds of nuclear bombs, waiting for release. At subduction zones, ocean crust plunges beneath land, melting into magma, triggering quakes and volcanic eruptions. The system is a coiled spring, always on edge. Scientists are now tracking an alarming trend. Seismic swarms from Alaska to Indonesia, synchronized like the beats of a global drum. In 2024 to 2025, earthquake frequency rose sharply. Volcanoes long considered dormant, like Alaska's Mount Spur or Indonesia's Marapi, erupted with little warning. The fear that the ring's entire system may be entering a new red global seismic cycle. And here's the nightmare. The ring's cold, dense bedrock means seismic waves travel farther. A megaquake in one country doesn't just shake locals, it rattles nations across the Pacific. A red magnitude 9.0 Cascadia rupture could send tsunamis to Japan. A red Kamchatka quake can tilt Earth's axis itself. So we ask, is the Ring of Fire not just a regional threat, but the greatest planetary hazard humanity faces? Could we be standing at the edge of a global cascade where quakes, eruptions, and tsunamis strike in a relentless chain? Don't look away, because in the next chapter, you'll see why scientists are calling 2025 the year Earth's deadliest zone reawakened. Chapter 2. Unraveling the Surge. 2025's seismic awakening. What if the quake that already struck Kamchatka wasn't the end, but just the opening act of Earth's deadliest performance? In July 2025, the red Kamchatka megaquake magnitude 8.8 didn't just devastate Russia's Far East, it sent shockwaves around the world. The rupture stretched for hundreds of kilometers, snapping Earth's crust like glass. Atomic clocks ticked proof that Earth's rotation shifted by microseconds. Satellite data showed the red tectonic plates' ring of fire stress maps lighting up in eerie unison. Within weeks, volcanoes once thought dormant erupted explosively. By mid-2025, 47 active eruptions were underway along the Red Pacific Ring of Fire volcanoes, one of the highest totals ever recorded. Entire coastlines were on edge. Tsunami drills ran from Alaska to Japan, and yet scientists warned, this is not the end. This could be the start. Why was this quake different? Because it didn't happen in isolation. Seismometers as far away as Chile and Indonesia picked up secondary stress signals, swarms of quakes that followed the initial rupture. It was as though the entire ring was trembling in sympathy, one wound bleeding into another. Could the red 2025 seismic surge ring of fire be a chain reaction, each quake pulling the next fault closer to its breaking point? Could this be how global catastrophe begins, not with one explosion, but with a series of dominoes falling across the Pacific? If you're watching this and want to stay ahead of the danger, hit subscribe right now, because what happens next along the Ring of Fire could be the most important warning humanity ever gets. Chapter 3. Chain of Fire. Anatomy of the Ring. The Red Ring of Fire volcanoes and earthquakes exist because of one force: plate tectonics. The vast red Pacific plate collides, slides, and grinds against smaller neighbors. The red North American plate, Philippine plate, Eurasian plate, Cocos plate, and Nazca plate. Each collision zone is a place where the Earth builds and releases unimaginable pressure. In Chile, subduction zones plunge the ocean floor under the Andes, fueling titanic eruptions. In Japan, fault lines rupture beneath millions, creating both red megaquakes and tsunamis. In the US Pacific Northwest, the red Cascadia subduction zone quietly locks, capable of unleashing a red magnitude 9.0 plus earthquake. This isn't just geology, it's a global hazard map. Every link in the chain carries its own risks, but together they form a system that can ripple from one side of the Pacific to the other. So the question becomes, could today's tremors in Kamchatka or Chile spark tomorrow's disaster in Alaska, California, or Japan? Chapter 4. The Domino Effect, Megaquakes and Chain Reactions. What if one earthquake in Russia could set off a chain of disasters that ripples around the entire Pacific, and we're already living through it? Scientists have long debated whether earthquakes talk to one another. Could the violent release of energy in one fault line actually push others toward failure? The evidence in Red Ring of Fire 2025 chain reactions is piling up, and the patterns are too eerie to ignore. When the red Kamchatka 8.8 megaquake ruptured in July, its seismic waves didn't just spread outward like ripples on a pond. They altered the stress balance across thousands of kilometers of interconnected faults. Within days, monitoring stations from Indonesia to Mexico began picking up anomalies, swarms of minor quakes, changes in volcanic gas emissions, and sudden bulges in the Earth's crust. In Alaska's Aleutians, ground deformation spiked, hinting at magma shifting beneath dormant volcanoes. In Chile, sensors recorded silent tremors, the kind that often precede catastrophic ruptures. This isn't coincidence. It looks like dominoes falling in slow motion. One colossal rupture tips the balance elsewhere, and like gears in a planetary machine, the red Pacific Ring of Fire shudders as a whole. History warns us this may be real. In 1970, 1960, the magnitude 9.5 Chile earthquake, the largest ever recorded, was followed within years by massive quakes in Alaska and Japan. In 2004, the Sumatra-Andaman quake triggered a tsunami that killed over 200,000, and within a decade, nearby regions experienced major seismic unrest. Coincidence? Or the domino effect at work? Now, with 47 volcanoes erupting simultaneously, the possibility grows darker. Could a megaquake in one corner of the ring actually synchronize volcanic eruptions and earthquakes across continents? Could Kamchatka's rupture be the first domino in a chain reaction that topples Tokyo, Santiago, or even Los Angeles? And the most chilling question of all, if the dominoes are already falling, how many are left standing before the entire ring of fire collapses in on itself? Chapter 5. Front lines of fire, life on the edge. What if the world's most advanced cities and the poorest villages are all standing on the same burning tightrope, waiting for it to snap? For the red 800 million people living along the Ring of Fire, danger isn't an abstract scientific theory. It's the rhythm of daily life. Tokyo commuters step into trains built to withstand tremors. Farmers in the Philippines wake up to the smell of volcanic gas drifting from restless craters. Chilean families know their children will grow up practicing earthquake and tsunami drills. And in Los Angeles, residents scroll through traffic alerts and wildfire warnings with one unspoken fear in the background. What happens when the ground itself finally gives way? The Red Pacific Ring of Fire 2025 crisis is not just about geology, it's about humanity's gamble with location. Cities like Tokyo, Santiago, Jakarta, and Manila are perched directly on some of the planet's most violent subduction zones. Skyscrapers rise above fault lines. Fishing fleets operate in waters that could vanish under tsunamis. Highways, pipelines, and nuclear plants stand in regions where magma, ash, and seismic waves are not if, but when. Japan has some of the strictest building codes in the world, yet even there, the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami proved that resilience has limits. Indonesia's communities live with eruptions like Mount Merapi, where ash falls like snow and villages can disappear overnight. In Chile, volcanic soils create fertile farmland. But every harvest comes with the reminder that the Andes are studded with some of the deadliest volcanoes on Earth. Now imagine dozens of volcanoes erupting at once, their ash plumes grounding flights across Asia and the Americas. Imagine back-to-back megaquakes snapping highways in Japan, while a tsunami races across the Pacific toward Hawaii and California. Could even the most prepared nations withstand such synchronized catastrophes? And here's the chilling thought. If nations with billion-dollar warning systems might falter, what happens to the millions living in fragile coastal villages or on crowded islands with no way out? When the Ring of Fire roars in unison, does anyone truly stand a chance, or are we all living on borrowed time? Chapter 6. Monitoring the monster. Science on watch. What if the most advanced technology on Earth still isn't enough to stop the Ring of Fire from rewriting history overnight? Across the globe, an invisible army works around the clock to track the Red Ring of Fire Seismic Surge 2025 in the silence beneath Tennessee fields, in the crowded streets of Tokyo, in the icy Aleutians, and along the steaming craters of Indonesia. Thousands of seismometers listen to the Earth's hidden heartbeat. Every twitch of the crust, every whisper of magma rising is captured, logged, and transmitted to research centers in real time. Satellites orbiting hundreds of miles above Earth map changes smaller than a human hair, tiny uplifts in the land that may signal magma swelling beneath a volcano. Deep ocean sensors buried in trenches thousands of meters below the waves wait for the telltale pressure shifts that mark a tsunami racing silently toward shore. Even fiber optic cables under the Pacific now double as earthquake detectors, picking up faint vibrations across entire continents. Humanity has never had so many eyes, ears, and instruments trained on the Earth's restless edge. And yet, the monster does not play by our rules. Earthquakes can strike without warning. One moment, the instruments hum with background noise. The next, alarms shriek as a fault ruptures miles below. Dormant volcanoes that have slept for centuries can awaken violently in a single night, spewing ash and fire that no forecast predicted. In 2025, 47 volcanoes erupted almost simultaneously, despite decades of monitoring. If this is what happens when we're watching, what horrors await where we are blind? Scientists face an agonizing paradox. They can track probabilities, identify hotspots, and issue alerts, but they cannot give an exact time or place. At best, technology buys us minutes, precious moments to evacuate, to run, to brace. But what if those minutes are never enough? So here's the question the world must face. Is our greatest weapon against the ring prediction or preparation? Do we keep chasing the illusion of control, or finally accept that survival may depend not on knowing when, but on being ready always? Chapter 7. The Myth of Control. Humanity versus the Ring. What if everything we've built to control nature is nothing more than sandcastles waiting for the tide? For centuries, humanity has dreamed of taming the Earth. We build tsunami seawalls, convinced they can block oceans that have drowned empires. We design quake-resistant towers, believing steel and concrete can stand against minutes of ground convulsing like liquid. We carve channels to divert lava, trying to steer rivers of fire as if they were obedient streams. But the red ring of fire megaquakes and eruptions of 2025 have reminded us of a brutal truth. We can adapt, we can endure, but we can never truly command. When 47 volcanoes erupted nearly at once in 2025, the illusion shattered. Skies went black over entire regions. Ash grounded aircraft, choked crops, and dimmed the sun in places thousands of miles away. Earthquakes toppled ports, split highways, and reduced neighborhoods to rubble. Cities that believed themselves untouchable, Tokyo, Santiago, Los Angeles, watched their billion-dollar defenses bend and sometimes break. For all our engineering genius, our skyscrapers, ships, and satellites are fragile toys in the hands of forces millions of years old. History proves the same point. The 2011 Tohoku quake in Japan overwhelmed one of the most advanced disaster preparedness systems in the world, unleashing a tsunami that devastated Fukushima. In 1991, Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines erupted with such force that even military bases designed for war could not withstand it. Again and again, we are reminded, the Ring of Fire does not yield, and yet we keep building. Why? Perhaps it's arrogance, perhaps it's survival instinct. But here lies the chilling danger. Could our obsession with control actually blind us to the deeper truth? That no wall is high enough, no building strong enough, no system foolproof enough to stop the ring from breaking the rules. Maybe survival lies not in mastery, but in humility and adaptation, learning to live with the monster, not pretending to chain it. Chapter 8. Legends, loss, and the lure of fire. What if the world's oldest myths weren't just stories, but warnings about the next catastrophe? For thousands of years, the Red Pacific Ring of Fire has been more than geography, it has been prophecy. Ancient peoples spoke of gods wrestling beneath mountains, spirits boiling the seas, and islands born in fire and ash. To modern ears, these sound like legends, but look closer and you realize they were survival guides. Oral traditions were the first seismic hazard maps, etched not on paper, but into culture. Memories of tsunamis, megaquakes, and eruptions passed down to keep the next generation alive. Today, the proof still smolders across the ring. Ghost towns entombed in volcanic ash stand frozen in time. Monuments to tsunami victims line coastlines from Japan to Chile. Entire cities, flattened once, rebuilt, then flattened again, live in defiance of the ground beneath them. And yet, we return. We rebuild. We stand in awe of the ring's jagged peaks and lava-lit skies, even as it quietly reloads its fury. But here's the chilling question. Have we confused awe for safety? Do tourists snapping photos at volcanoes realize they are standing on active killing fields? Do glittering skylines on fault lines represent strength or arrogance? The Red Ring of Fire megaquake 2025 surge has shown us that fascination does not equal preparation. Every legend hides a warning. Every shrine to disaster is a reminder. The Ring of Fire always takes back what it gives. So ask yourself, are we listening to the stories of the past or sleepwalking toward repeating them? Chapter 9. Waiting for the next shock. And so, the world waits. Red Seismic Activity 2025. Ring of Fire is surging, volcanoes erupt in clusters, megaquakes jolt fault zones thought dormant, and scientists warn that we may be entering a new era of instability. Could the next shock topple the Aleutians? Could the Red Cascadia subduction zone finally snap? Could dozens of volcanoes ignite in a chain of fire unseen in human history? The countdown has no clock. The ring stirs on its own time, and the silence before the next rupture may be the loudest warning of all. Chapter 10. The ring's final warning. The Red Pacific Ring of Fire is not a theory, it's a reality, alive and reawakening. In 2025, with 47 active eruptions, a megaquake in Kamchatka, and tremors spreading across oceans, the world is closer than ever to witnessing its fury. Will the next chapter be another deadly eruption, a tsunami that drowns cities, or a red magnitude 9.0 Ring of Fire earthquake that reshapes nations? The question is not if, but when. If this story shook you, don't look away. Subscribe, share, and stay with us, because the Ring of Fire is awake and the next eruption may already be on its way.